It looks like people have stopped joining. So a few people might hop in here and there, but I'm going to keep on going on, moving forward. Um, in the meantime, before we get going, I will say that if anybody has any specific questions for our team, you can feel free to use the question and answer feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen to submit questions to our team. We'll have a dedicated time to answering your questions at the end of the webinar. Though we do have some team members behind the scenes ready to answer your questions as you submit them throughout this presentation. And we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with some introductions. My name is Angel, and I'm your webinar host for today. And I am a summer programs advisor. Today, we are joined by our senior summer programs enrollment manager, Kathleen O'Connell, and associate director of Aspire 5-week program, Jeff Perry. Both of whom we're going to serve will serve as our panelists for today's webinar. Again, for anybody who might have specific questions regarding our Aspire 5-week scholarship offerings or the scholarship application process, please feel free to use the question and answer feature or the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen to submit questions to our team. We will also have time dedicated to answering your questions at the end of this webinar, though we have some team members behind the scenes ready to answer the questions as well, like I said before. As a quick note, this webinar will be recorded and it will be available to rewatch hopefully by the end of this week. The link to rewatch the webinar will be available on the events section of our summer programs webpage or at summer.berklee.edu/events. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Kathleen.
Great, thank you, Angel. So Aspire 5-week is our most comprehensive summer program, and that's what you're all here to learn about. And it's also our largest, with around 1,000 students participating each summer. This year, the program is scheduled to run from Friday, July 5th to Friday, August 9th. In terms of eligibility, we require students to be 15 or older with at least 6 months of experience playing or singing in the case of vocalists. Because of the breadth and intensity of this program, you're able to earn 3 college credits that you can use to get a head start at Berklee, or that you can transfer to another school. Students who receive a grade of B or higher in the core curriculum will be eligible to earn these credits, and they're accepted at a very broad range of schools. We've had students use these to fulfill course requirements for their high school where permitted, but also at colleges and universities across the country, some abroad as well. Another benefit of participating in Aspire 5-week is that if you're planning to enter college in fall 2025 and want to apply to Berklee, you'll have the opportunity to audition during the summer for our undergraduate program, and you'll be able to receive an early decision on your application. So this is an opportunity for an early decision with the admissions team. If you're a bit younger or planning to apply in the future, we're hoping to be able to continue to offer this option in future years, but we also offer the opportunity to audition for a scholarship for 2025 5-week if you're interested in returning again for the program next year. And it's a good opportunity to just at the same time practice auditioning as well and get familiar with the team. In terms of academics during 5-week, the curriculum is really designed to give you a comprehensive, holistic experience that we here at Berklee find is critical to developing your skills as a performer. So you take a musicianship course that focuses on harmony and ear training, a theory course, a private lesson, an ensemble, as well as lab and survey course specific to the instrument you choose to focus on for the program. And just want to highlight here that your experience at this program is customizable. You choose the instrument that you want to focus on for classes. You can select from a number of style options for both your classes and private instruction. You get to choose electives that really give you the chance to sample Berklee's course offerings, get to know what you like too. We have electives available in areas like songwriting, production, music theory, entrepreneurship, among others. And additionally, you'll complete a few placement assessments prior to the start of classes too that help us to ensure that you're properly challenged or appropriately challenged and placed with peers at your same or similar level. So the program is customizable in those respects. Private instruction is also a component of Aspire 5 Week. I mentioned a minute ago here that it's part of the core curriculum for the program, but just to expand on that, you'll have a one-on-one lesson each week for 30 minutes, which is really your time to work with and receive feedback and tips from your instructor. And then lastly, there are a number of performance opportunities for students during Aspire 5 Week because, as the name alludes, it's meant to help you hone skills that will help you deliver when it comes to performing, right? So each student will perform in a final concert at the culmination of the program, but we also have additional performance opportunities too, like open mic sessions, jam sessions, which are open to all students, as well as specific showcase concerts. And then we'll just switch our slides here. So now we'll do an overview of scholarships, which is what you're all here to learn about, right? So we have a variety of scholarship opportunities for Aspire 5 Week participants. My colleague Jeff Perry here, he'll be diving in and discussing each of them in detail and what the evaluation committee will be looking for in your submission in the upcoming slides. But before we get to that, we did first want to just provide you with an overview of what's available. So we have 5 different types of scholarships, all of which are merit-based. The first one is our Aspire Scholarship, and all students registered for the program, regardless of their instrument or style that they specialize in, are eligible to apply. We have both full tuition and partial tuition awards available. Most awards for this particular category tend to be in the 1,000 to 3,000 range, but there are a limited number of full tuition awards as well. And then you also see on the slide here that we have a few specialized workshop scholarships. We have a jazz and gender justice workshop, a jazz workshop, a rock workshop scholarship, and you can tell from their titles that these are specific to students specializing in either jazz or rock. These awards are among our most coveted scholarships, I would say, because they cover not only full tuition, but also on-campus housing, which includes a meal plan as well. And then lastly, we're fortunate enough to have targeted funding available from the American Turkish Society for our Reef Martin Fellowship. So students of Turkish descent or nationality are eligible to apply for this award, and it covers both full tuition and on-campus housing with a meal plan. And at this point, I will turn it over to Jeff to talk about some specifics.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Angel, for hosting. Welcome to everyone. First, I want to talk about the general scholarship, the Aspire Scholarship. As it says here, 2 performance videos in any style, only one of them may be an original. We do have the singer-songwriter or performing songwriter applicants, and they want to focus on original music, which is wonderful. So one of those 2 performances could be an original, whereas one must be a cover tune. Now, you certainly could have 2 cover tunes, but 2 performances in any style. And what I always recommend is that you do the best style that you do, whatever that is. A lot of people feel that Berklee is a jazz school, and so therefore I have to do something jazz-oriented. Doesn't matter. Do any style that you want. Pop, rock, funk, fusion, whatever it is that you want to perform that you do best, do 2 performance videos in that style. And then again, one can be an original. And then for the third video file, it should be a technical exercise. This may include scales, arpeggios, or an etude. And that's any of those things will be fine. And for EDI students, which is electronic digital instruments, you should submit a third performance in place of a technical exercise. And all students should give us a 1,500 character essay. This should include a description of your videos and musical accomplishments. And for electronic digital instruments students, you should also list the gear you're using. Okay. So next up, we have the Jazz Workshop. Jazz Workshop there are 2 different groups that are put together. Each group has 8 slots, so 16 students will be selected, and these are the 16 best students in the world at this age group. I mean, that's what we're looking for. It needs to be set up as a band, so bass, guitar, keyboard, drums, a few horn players, vocalists. Those are the people that will be available, percussionists, things of that nature. So this is led by Grammy Award-winning drummer Terry Lynn Carrington and Isaac Wilson. The Jazz Workshop curriculum focuses on ensemble and performance skills, stylistic vocabulary, and the history of jazz music. Students will attend weekly ensemble rehearsals to prepare for several performances, but they also are going to all their other classes. So this is a program within a program. So there are additional courses beyond the regular 5-week courses. And as Kathleen mentioned, it also includes housing as well with the meal plan. So this is a very coveted slot to achieve. So with this, it's slightly different. 3 performance videos. This should include an up-tempo piece with swing feel, a medium tempo piece with a swing feel. Tempo is listed there. And then an odd meter piece with an even 8th note feel. So 3 performance videos as opposed to 2 performance videos and a technical exercise. And then also the same 1,500 character essay. And this should include a description of your videos and your musical accomplishments. And then within the Jazz Workshop, we also have some additional programming, and that's coming up on the next slide, which is the Jazz and Gender Workshop. So the Jazz and Gender Justice Workshop is not a separate scholarship. It is a part of the Jazz Workshop. But this topic, this very important topic to Terry Lynn Carrington, will be covered in addition to the Jazz Workshop stuff, in addition to the 5-week stuff. There will be additional programming that will be available to the Jazz Workshop students, and some programming that will be available to all 5-week students. So all of these things will be happening in addition to the regular classes. And so this setup is the same as the Jazz Workshop. So 3 performance videos that should include up-tempo piece with the swing feel, a medium tempo with the swing feel, and then an odd meter with an even 8th note feel. So the same setup as the Jazz Workshop, also with the 1,500 character essay. In addition to the Jazz Workshop, we have the Rock Workshop, and that is led by Marty Walsh, the amazing Marty Walsh. And this curriculum focuses on ensemble performance skills, stylistic vocabulary, and history of contemporary rock music. Again, additional courses in addition to the regular 5-week curriculum. Both the Jazz Workshop and the Rock Workshop have daily rehearsals as opposed to weekly rehearsals. So there's a lot of performance time for both of these, rehearsal time and performance time for both of these programs. And again, the Rock Workshop show for 3 performance videos here. Vocalists, drummers, bassists, and keyboardists should include a slow tempo, a mid-tempo, and an up-tempo rock piece. So 3 separate tempos, but focus on pop rock pieces. Guitarists should include a rock solo, 1 rock song playing rhythm guitar, and 1 rock song on acoustic guitar. So again, 3 different types of guitar playing is what we wanted to be focusing here on for the guitar players. And again, the 1,500 character essay to include a description of the videos and the musical accomplishments. In addition to the Rock Workshop and Jazz Workshop, we also have the Arif Mardin Fellowship, again, available to students of Turkish descent. And this setup is very similar to the our general Aspire scholarship. 2 performance videos in any style, and only one of them may be an original. A technical exercise, which could be scales, arpeggios, or an etude. And then again, EDI students should submit a 3rd performance in place of a technical exercise, the 1,500 character essay, and EDI students should list the gear you're using. So let's talk a little bit about the scholarship submission requirements. So what we need you to do are videos. Some students have had experience doing professional videos that you might see on MTV, if MTV ever were to show videos ever again. But the idea of a performance type video where you're we're essentially lip syncing to the recording that you've done. That is not what we're looking for. What we are looking for is a live performance. It can be at home, it can be live on stage, or it could be in the studio, but it needs to be the video of your performance. That is what we're most interested in seeing. The sound quality, we must be able to hear it, but doesn't have to be professional studio quality, okay? And video quality is also not necessarily a factor. You can use your phone, you can use an iPad, or any kind of tablet. You could set it on a stand and video your performance. That's really the most useful tool for us to see how you perform. Each video should be 2 to 3 minutes in length. Now, some people may have performances that are longer than that. So if you can edit your longer performance down to 2 or 3 minutes, that would be helpful. Or if you have a moment of the performance that is featured, that you are featured in, and you would like us to look at those 2 to 3 minutes, you can include that in the description of the video. That'll help us to find the best spot for you. And also, if you have a video of performing with a group and you're the guitar player, but there are 2 other guitar players or another guitar player, please specify which performer you are. That is very important for us to be able to identify who you are in the videos, who we are giving the award to. So each video, again, should be 2 to 3 minutes in length. The recording should be filmed within the last year. Editing or overdubbing your performance in any way is not permissible. Again, the video quality and the audio quality don't have to be perfect, but what we want is to be like we're in the room with you. That's really what we're most interested in, okay? Accompaniment is required for each performance video, but not the technical exercise. You can perform with the band or with the play-along track or a music -1 or a karaoke track or whatever, however we want to describe that, as long as it does not contain your instrument. So you certainly can perform with a track or with live musicians, either way. But we do want accompaniment for 2 of the 3 videos. Strings, brass, woodwind, and piano auditions should also include improvisation in at least one of the first 2 submissions. At least one should have improvisation for strings, brass, woodwind, and piano auditions. And then guitar and piano auditions should include comping or chordal performance in at least one submission. So we want to see what you do best in the style of your choice. You can do 2 different styles. You can do 1 jazz, 1 pop, 1 rock, 1 funk, whatever, any style you want. They could be 2 of the same. They could be 2 different. But the first 2 should be accompaniment, should be present. And again, as long as it's not containing your instrument. Okay, I think that pretty much covers everything. I do want to make one other thought, which is sometimes there is confusion that the voice is not an instrument. And yes, it is an instrument. We consider the voice an instrument, and we can consider EDI an instrument. So when you're filling out your application, when it says, what is your principal instrument? Or what is your instrument? If you're a singer, that is your instrument. Same with EDI. Okay, that's a very important distinction.
All right, so some important dates to keep in mind. We have 2 rounds of scholarship review. The first deadline is coming up in about a month on March 1st. This is the priority deadline for our Aspire Scholarship. It's also the final and only deadline for our various workshop scholarships, as well as the Arif Martin Fellowship. Since we are in late January at this point, I usually recommend to students to apply for this first round because you receive the best consideration for funding, and it also is to your benefit because you receive a decision sooner, right? And if you're making a decision about whether to participate and it's hinging upon this, it puts you in a place where you're learning about what we're able to offer sooner. So specifically for those who meet this March 1st deadline, you'll receive your decision via email on April 8th. That said, if for whatever reason you're not able to meet the March 1st deadline, your next chance would be submitting by April 1st. So if you submit between March 2nd and April 1st, you would be considered for our Aspire scholarship, and you would receive your decision via email on May 2nd. In terms of next steps, now that you know what to prepare materials wise and the timeline, this is the process of actually applying for a scholarship. So only registered students are eligible to apply for a scholarship. So if you haven't done so already, the first thing that you'll need to do is submit your initial registration for the Aspire 5-week program. This is done at apply.berklee.edu. It involves completing demographic, personal information, in addition to payment of the $50 registration fee. And then next, step 2, following the guidelines that we've outlined here in this webinar, which are also available on our website. You'll want to take some time, obviously, to prepare your videos, your essay. And then finally, step 3, when you're ready to submit, that's when you log back into your apply.berklee.edu portal. You click on the Next Steps tab, and voila, the scholarship application will be there waiting for you to complete. You can select the scholarship or scholarships for which you'd like to be considered. You'll insert your URL links that you've prepared, and then you'll copy and paste your essay, and you'll be able to submit at that point. So those are our steps for preparing your scholarship application. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, thank you, Jeff and Kathleen, for that awesome presentation. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the presentation portion. Again, a big thank you to Jeff and Kathleen for doing such an awesome job. If you haven't already, feel free to leave your questions in the question and answer feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen. And we're going to go ahead and try to answer as many as we can with the amount of time that we have left.
Can I jump in real quick, Angel?
Sure. Go ahead.
I just have 2 more things I wanted to discuss real quick. If you are a multi-instrumentalist, if you're a singer or guitar player, and you are wanting to do both of those things in your video, that is absolutely 100% recommended, but you must decide which instrument we are going to evaluate. So a lot of times we see a singer-songwriter that submits themselves as a singer-songwriter and then they play guitar. We definitely want that, but we also want to feature the guitar part. If that's what you're choosing as your main instrument, we need to have that to be a highlight, not just the voice. So that's a very important distinction. If you're going to be a multi-instrumentalist and do multiple things at one time, please highlight the instrument that you are wanting to be considered for the audition. There we go.
Awesome, Jeff. Thank you. I'm sure that answers already a good amount of questions in the chat pertaining to that. So I'm going to go ahead and start picking questions out from the Q&A. I'll start off with kind of a scholarship kind of policy question. What happens if a student pays in advance and then they get a scholarship? Should they wait to pay? Or can they pay in advance? How does that affect the policy of applying for a scholarship?
I can take that one. So that is, or timing of the payment is really a personal decision of yours. Ultimately, whether you pay or whether you don't at the time of your scholarship application, that's not a factor in the review. So I just wanted to note that as kind of a first point. Our scholarships are all merit-based, and so you'll never be discounted in the review process for having gone through and paid for the program already. You'll still receive full consideration for the scholarship. And it's not even something that's available as a piece of information for the scholarship committee to see at their point of review. So our review process is 100% merit-based, not based on your ability or not to pay for the program. In terms of timing your payment, do you pay now? Do you pay later? Again, like I said, that's a personal decision. We don't consider a student's space to be secured in the program until their program is paid for or otherwise covered in full, should it be through a scholarship. That said, the program is not at capacity at this point, and I don't anticipate that it would be prior to us releasing scholarship decisions, at least for the first round. So it's reasonable to wait if you want to. That said, if you already know you want to participate, you like to get in there and get things done early, you can certainly go through and pay now. In the case that you receive a subsequent scholarship, we don't keep your money, your overpayment. We do refund you. The timing of that refund is aligned with the program check-in, however, and the scheduling of disbursement of funds on campus. And so if you were to pay now, then get a scholarship, and then we owe you money back, your refund would typically come after the point of program check-in in the summer.
Thanks, Kathleen. That's a really helpful answer. I actually see a question here similar. I can add on to this. Basically, I'll answer myself. Somebody asked if international students are eligible to apply for the scholarship. Yes, they are. International students as well can apply for all of the scholarships that we offer.
And international students are a big part of our Aspire 5-week program too. Just to add to that, about a third of our students that attend Aspire 5-week come from outside of the US. And so we have really good representation. If you maybe attended our previous webinar, we had mentioned that we have students come from virtually every state with over 70 countries represented. And I feel like that statistic, while it's true for all of our summer programs, it's even true just for Aspire 5-week. We have so many people coming from different places throughout the world. So we value our international students, and you are certainly eligible to apply for a scholarship.
Absolutely. It's a very special part about Berklee for sure. And maybe this is more of a question for Jeff. Somebody says, good afternoon. Any recommendations regarding what someone can write on their scholarship essay? You touched base on this earlier. Maybe you want to go over some tips or what generally you're looking for.
Well, I think mostly what we want to hear is we want to hear your journey. We want to hear what brings you to this point. How long have you studied the instrument that you're auditioning on? Any inspirations that you may have had? Anything that we can know to get you to get to know you a little bit better. I think that's really what we want to know. And there's obviously some technical things that we want to know about. How long you've played, if you're an EDI student, the equipment you're using, and things of that nature. But really, it's an opportunity for the people that are evaluating you to learn a little bit more about you, not just the video itself. And I think that's very helpful for us. And speaking of the videos, one other thing I forgot to mention is please make sure when you post those videos, your URLs, if they're on YouTube or wherever they are, they need to be public so that anyone can see those links. That is one of the things that can hold up the audition process a little bit, is the evaluations when they're not public. Our evaluators need to then send me an email, then I send Kathleen an email, then Kathleen sends you an email, and then eventually, hopefully, it becomes public and we can all see your music. So there you go.
Thanks so much, Jeff. My next question is, can a student apply for more than one scholarship?
Yes, you may. You may. So if you haven't accessed the scholarship application yet, when you do, you'll see this. The very first question is, which scholarships would you like to be considered for? And there is a multi-box selection that you can make. So you can select the Aspire scholarship. You can select a workshop as well. If you are of Turkish descent or nationality, you can select that Arif Mardin one too. In the end, we do allow for multiple selections, like I said, but also in the end, you are considered for all scholarships anyway, regardless of what you've submitted. So we've had some really talented students come through that maybe, I don't know, they just really shined in the audition process, and were really great candidates for a workshop scholarship, even if maybe they didn't tick it off on the application. So students in the end are considered for all eligible scholarships, which I think is really great and helpful to you as students in the application process too, because then you don't have to pick and choose and prioritize ones over another. You're kind of getting the full eligibility scan.
Thank you, Kathleen. I see two technical exercise questions, and so I'm gonna for Jeff. And I think, yeah, they're a little music oriented. Maybe we'll see more of those, but I want to include these things too. Somebody asked, can someone have a metronome playing in the background during the technical exercise?
Yes, although it can be distracting. So it may take away from, depending on the volume of the metronome, it could take away from the actual performance. So if it's possible to not, that would be best.
Okay, and then a vocalist asks, uh, what for the technical exercise, how do we do this as a vocalist? Should we upload a video of how we vocalize?
That would be fine. You can, an etude, an etude scales, things of that nature. As an instrumentalist, that's what we've often focused on. And the same type of performance can be happening from a vocal perspective. So if there's a classical piece that you sing, or any kind of scales that you work on, or any kind of vocalizing that you would like to do, that you would like to showcase, what we want to hear is your instrument, which is your voice, your instrument unaccompanied. That's really what we want to hear. So no other sounds other than that. So again, the metronome is not beneficial. It takes away from the actual performance. So hope that addresses.
Okay, and then I have one more for you. It's somebody asked, what does odd meter mean actually? Does 3/4 or 6/8 count? Should the meter change throughout the tune? Is it okay if the tune is a 9/8 and it goes to 4/4 at some point? Try to answer as best as you can.
Yes is the answer to all those questions. Yes, three is 3, 6, 7, 5. Those are all considered odd. 2, 4, 4, 4. Those are most common meters. So 5, 7, 9. Those are the more common in terms of odd meters. But 3 and 6 certainly do work. We want to highlight your ability to play in another time besides 4/4. That's what it's really all about. So if it does change, that's fine, but have it be the majority of it not be in 4/4. Have the majority of it be in another time, and then if it goes to 4/4, that's okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff. All right, let's see what next. Let's see what I got here. Okay, what's included in the cost of the scholarship cost wise? Is housing included?
That would depend on the scholarship that is ultimately offered. Some of our scholarships, like we talked about before, they are partial tuition or full tuition. And then those very select number of scholarships, the most coveted ones that we discussed, that are workshop scholarships or our Reef Martin Fellowship, those are both tuition and housing in one award. And when your housing is covered, you're also getting meals covered as well, since anyone who stays in the campus residence halls is eligible for 3 meals a day. So it depends. Scholarship awards vary, and what you're ultimately offered, if we're able to offer something to you, it'll be detailed in your award letter that you receive via email. So if your scholarship ultimately includes housing as well, it will explicitly mention housing in there. If not, it'll indicate a dollar amount when it comes to tuition.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathleen. Here. Will there be another Aspire webinar, and where can we find a recording of this specific webinar after it's
The
done?
recording of this webinar, like Angel mentioned, it'll be available on our events page of our website. So summer.berklee.edu/events. The recording will go up probably within the next week or so. In terms of future webinars, we have a couple that are coming up related to, or that may be of interest to Aspire 5-week students. If you are interested in hearing about scholarships again, we're doing a second scholarship webinar in about 2 weeks to catch people who might not have been able to attend this one, or who maybe just want to listen again for anything different that might come up in the Q&A. We have a webinar in March scheduled for international students. for Aspire 5 Week to discuss the F1 student visa process and applying for that. And then as we get a little bit closer to the programs, on our events webpage, we've got a webinar not exclusive to 5 Week, but covering kind of the housing, student life aspects of being at a summer program. And then leading up to the program, we do an Aspire focused webinar as well to for those of you who are coming, helping you to prepare next steps, those sorts of things. So there are a couple webinars that will happen between now and when the program kicks off that you might be interested to attend, and all of those are listed on our events page of our website.
And what is the deadline for the scholarship application, or the deadlines?
Yep. So priority scholarship deadline and final deadline for the workshop scholarships and fellowship is March 1st. And then if you miss that deadline for whatever reason, April 1st is your next opportunity and deadline. Beyond April 1st, we no longer review submissions. So you've got a chance March 1st and then April 1st.
Okay. I think this one's more of a question for Jeff. Can students make their own backing track or use a backing track, and play over it during their video performance?
Absolutely. And I would highly recommend mentioning that you did the track in your essay. I think that that's really something important for us to know, that it's your track, you did it, and you're featuring yourself, and you've put everything together in there. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Awesome. Okay. Just looking for the next question here. Oh, okay. Somebody says here, what do you mean by improvisation for the piano? And what do you mean by chordal performance for the piano?
Excellent question. Improvisation is where you are creating a melody that is not written down. So an improvised solo, whether it doesn't matter what style it is, but if there's an accompaniment that's happening, and then you're creating an improvised solo, you're creating melody by yourself without looking at anything. That's the first part. And then comping. Basically, we want to see how you play chords. So the guitar players and piano players, we want to see how you play chords with an accompaniment or by yourself. That's very beneficial to us to see how you play. So single measure, single melodies kind of stuff, whether you're playing piano or guitar, is great, where you're playing melody or you're improvising. But we also want to see how you actually play chords. So what I would do is, part of the performance should be you playing chords to the accompaniment that's there. So there will not be any melody.
Awesome. And then can we remind the students about the time limit on the video performances? What's the criteria we're looking for length-wise?
2 to 3 minutes, no more than 3 minutes. And again, some people may have longer performances of a live show that they've done recently that they want to feature, and that's fine. But we need to know the best 2 to 3 minutes. So if there's a long intro that happens and then the singer comes in and you're the singer, tell us that your performance actually starts. If you can't edit your video, then the performance starts a minute into it, and then we'll watch from 1 to 4 minutes. So that's what we want to see as much as possible.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. And let's see. A lot of similar questions that we've already answered. I'm just trying to pick something new.
While you look for that, Angel, sometimes a question that we get a little bit later, perhaps in the process, closer to submission time, is related to the character limit and whether things like spaces count, that sort of thing. The quick answer is yes, spaces do count in your characters in your essay. I'd also encourage you, if you've registered for the program and you log into your portal again on that next steps page, you have access to the scholarship submission. It's kind of a one sitting sort of thing, but you can also play with the form too. Just don't make sure you don't click submit, but you can copy and paste your essay in there too to make sure that it fits. We've had some unfortunate situations where people have not considered the characters element of it, and some of their essay gets cut off, and or maybe they're not realizing it until right up against the deadline, and then they're scrambling to revise their essay. So I would advise you to, again, use a character counter, play around with it ahead of time, make sure that you're prepared, so that you're not caught in that crunch of having to make edits at the last minute.
Awesome. I have a question here. Gabriella asked, can the scholarship video be the same as the placement video?
For the placement video, there won't be, well, the placement will be, I'm assuming you're referring to when they actually get here. And that it will be a live audition when they arrive. So the videos will be now for the scholarships, and then when the students arrive in July, we'll be doing a live audition at that time.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see. Yeah, this is a common question I even see in emails throughout the year. So I'll go ahead and ask it, but it can be a little subjective. It says this person is asking, what BPMs are recommended for a slow, medium, and fast tempo song? This person says for the rock workshop, but that could apply to the jazz workshop as well. How would you define that?
I would say, 60, 120, 180. That's where I think, but does that mean anything that's 80, that's between 60 and 120? That's still slow. So I'd say between 60 and 90 would be slow, and then 100 to 140 would be medium. But once you get past 130, I think it starts getting a little bit faster, and then 150 plus for up tempo, give or take a couple.
Awesome answer. Thank you so much. Let's see here. A lot of people ask in terms of like the submissions, what are you looking for in terms of it is merit based as we said before, but when reviewing the application or looking at a video, what are the things that the team are looking for to evaluate these students in terms of their musicality, I guess?
Well, I think the first thing we're looking for is their ability on the instrument or voice. We were looking for how they sound and how at ease they are with their performance. I think that's step one. And then what is the potential? What is the potential of the sound, and what we can do, what can we work with, that kind of thing, and where can we take them? And when we see something very special, that's when we say that's full ride. We want that person here. We want to help them find their voice and things like that. So, but and it doesn't mean that if you don't get a full ride that you're not special. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's just everything is different. I mean, the honest answer is it depends. It depends on that particular performance. It depends on that person. It depends on how we hear it and how we see it. And everyone's different. And so I don't compare one to another. Whenever we're looking and evaluating videos, I look at them across the board and just want to hear what they do best.
Awesome, Jeff. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, how large is Aspire normally every year?
It's about 1,000 students in size. Of course, you won't have a class of 1,000 students. That can sound pretty scary. Or it can seem exhilarating too. You can land on one end of the spectrum or another, or maybe somewhere in the middle. But we generally end up having around 1,000 students participate, around a third, again, international. The other 2/3 tend to be domestic from different states. So it's pretty diverse in terms of the student body. But then when it comes to classes, those are of course much smaller. When it comes to things like master classes or their performance perspectives class, like those might be bigger in size. But when it comes to, like, I don't know, your musicianship class or your ensemble, that's much smaller and pretty comparable, I think, with the campus for undergrad in terms of faculty to student ratio.
Yeah, I'll just jump in real quick. Class size usually for the core classes, theory, musicianship is between 12 and 17. So on average, 15 is what we would like to have as an average size for those classes. And the labs are smaller, between 6 and 8 students, with their instrumentally based labs are always smaller. And ensembles can be anywhere from 3 to 7, or even larger if we're doing a big band, which has 17 or 18. So that's kind of all over the place, but mainly ensembles have a tendency to be smaller, 4 to 6.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Let's see, for example, Anna asked here, in regards to her scholarship submission, she says, for a cover, can it be in a different language other than English?
Absolutely.
A pretty easy answer. Yeah. So everybody knows now you can submit submissions of you singing in another language. Let's see. There's a common question there. Looking here, we've already answered a lot of questions that a lot of people had, so I'm trying to see. Okay. Somebody's basically asking here, they said that they're 15 years old, and what if what if they don't have a lot of experience in music theory or ear training? How would that how would that affect them in their attendance in the program?
It would be wonderful. It's fine. There's no issue. We have classes for students. Well, as Kathleen mentioned, there is a placement test that you take before you come to the program, both for musicianship and for theory. And we have classes for people that get every question wrong. And we have classes for people that get every question correct. So you're not alone. There are a lot of students that are inexperienced, that are trying to get the experience. And this is a great way to do that. And there are other students that are a little bit more advanced, and there are students that are very advanced. So they're all over. You're talking about 1,000 students that are here, a lot of other countries, people coming from other countries. So a very large cross-section of abilities, for sure, and experiences. And I think this is a great opportunity to get students that don't have a lot of experience, and students that do have experience, even more. So I think it's not an issue at all.
Great answer. Thank you so much, Jeff. Let's see here. Shira asked, how much is the average award for Aspire?
So most of the awards are in the 1,000 to 3,000 range. As we had discussed, the workshop scholarships, those are smaller in terms of the number of awards that we're giving out, because they essentially form ensembles, right? So most of the awards that we give out are in the Aspire scholarship category, and so there are a lot of the partial tuition scholarships, and again, a limited number of full tuition scholarships. So I would say most in the partial range, but there is a range that extends beyond just partial, up to full tuition, including housing.
And I do want to jump in. Kathleen mentioned this earlier, but I just want to emphasize it again. If you don't apply for one of the workshops and our evaluators look at you and hear you and say, wow, this person is amazing, we need to consider them for the jazz workshop or the rock workshop, we have a checkbox to then send that to the category of to be considered for the jazz workshop or the rock workshop. So that's something to consider as well.
Awesome. Thank you both. Okay, just the last couple questions before we hit 5. Let's see.
Since we are getting to the point where it's going to be last few questions, maybe I can take a minute here to just mention that this is in our guidelines, but scholarship submissions are final. So you've got some time between now and March 1st if you're aiming for that priority deadline. So I would encourage you to take some time, reflect on what we've discussed today, and work to prepare your submission. You don't need to rush and submit it by tomorrow or even next week. There is time on it, and considering that submissions are final too, you want to make sure that what you put forth is something that you're proud of too, and hopefully not wanting to revise further down the line. So just take that into consideration too.
Okay. Oh, how about this one? Can we go over a typical day of the schedule at Aspire? What happens on weekends?
Well, that's 2 separate questions. But during the week, we have classes. The classes are very much scheduled like a college type environment where you don't have all of your classes every day. Theory is Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Friday. Musicianship is every day, Tuesday through Friday. On Monday, there's survey classes and some electives and the large performance perspectives clinic. And then throughout the week, there are ensembles, labs, private lessons. We try to schedule everything between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. Sometimes we have some later things like jam sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays. In the evenings, we have open mics on Monday nights for singer-songwriters. And then we have weekend programming through student affairs. Kathleen, you want to jump in on that part of it?
Yep. So there are a lot of extracurricular activities that happen during Aspire 5 week. Some of them happen during the week, although we try to make those a little bit lighter, understanding that the focus is academics. But some people do have space in their schedule during the day because it's kind of similar to the college experience where maybe like your Mondays are busier than your Tuesdays sort of thing. So there are some activities, opportunities for meetups, connections that happen during the week, sometimes in the evenings too, like we've mentioned jam sessions or open mics before. So those things happen during the week. And then on weekends, there are some extracurricular activities planned by our student life team that include things like, they've taken a group over to one of the museums nearby or to the Boston Common together, or tickets to a Red Sox game or to the aquarium. So some sightseeing type of activities in combination with music oriented activities. I think it's a nice balance, and ultimately again providing opportunities opportunities outside of students' classes or the residence halls to connect with other people in the program that maybe you will have connected with otherwise, but maybe you won't have, and it's a good opportunity to meet people.
Thanks so much. I think we have one more time for one more question here. Let me see if I can find something. I think we've covered a fair amount. The general questions here. Oh, here, somebody asked here, this is a pretty good one. What is City Music and how does that, is that separate from the Aspire scholarships that we're offering? Is it the same? Is it different?
That is different.
Yes, that is different. Very different.
Yep.
If you're a City Music student, you know. Basically, it is through Boston, but also we have network sites throughout the country, and that is students that are participating in a specific program, and they are actually competing for spots for the same situation that all the other students are. So it's a very different program, but if you're a City Music student, you know you're a City Music student.
Okay. Awesome. I think that was the last question that I had here. Just, I think we're all set. If we want to wrap up. Thanks, everybody's. Yeah. Oh my God. No, go ahead, Jeff.
I just wanted to say thank you to you, Angel, and also to Kathleen.
No, yeah, thank you both and everybody who attended. I think we had a great event, answered some awesome questions, and I hope this information has been useful to you all. Again, you can find a recording of this webinar in a week on our events page. And we hope that you found this session helpful and informative. If you still have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us at summer@berklee.edu, or you can check out our help center, our help center at help.summer.berklee.edu. And also, as a reminder, you can always register for any of our upcoming webinars by routing to the Summer Programs Events page. And I believe the link to that web page is going to be sent out in the chat here. And that concludes our time together for this afternoon's webinar on scholarship offerings for the Aspire 5-week program. Thank you again for joining us today, and we hope to see you all at Berklee this summer. Take care, everybody.
Recording stopped.